So let's, quickly using the 40-ish kind of minutes left before the afternoon session begin, talking a little bit more about China. We already heard, from the morning session that China market is really important, and from the size, from the importance in the market, and also from the ways things are done or, not done in the other market. So if we're looking at the whole environment for social media, for e-commerce, for just the way people communicating with each other on a daily basis, then we see, why, we think China is such a different, chaotic, sometimes, strange place compared to the other market. Then basically we need to understand that, China to begin with, it's not a quite same market compared to the other developed markets, because the kind of choice of entertainment is relatively, limited. And also the main kind of stream media are normally being challenged or doubted whenever the government is trying to push something or trying to, share some of their ideas or recommendations. And although the government has stopped the one-child only kind of policy recently, but in the past several decades, you only have this nuclear kind of structured family, and 6 or 5 adults are all focusing their attention on just one child. So the socializing kind of environment is not that active either. And of course, because the country is so unbalanced in development kind of levels, then you see, very large of the areas are actually quite underdeveloped, and their access to the real shopping environment or channels are quite different. So based on these, then we're facing a quite unique and fragmented, but also very dynamic social media landscape in China. So I have this, annually published landscape map at the table over there next to the door. So if you think you want to learn more, feel free to help yourself. And we do this kind of summary on an annual basis. So the next one for this year will be published in a month or two. So stay tuned if you are really, want to get the new updates. So basically, when we're talking about the core of the social landscape in China, we will always want to tell our clients or our friends that are new to the China market to remember it is a VIP kind of core platform. What that means is, in China, you need to depend on these core platforms to go viral in no time. It could be a good thing, or it could be a challenging for brands or government agencies. And also, you need to realize internet or the social kind of platform, it's a core resource for information for Chinese consumers. Whenever it is for shopping or for government policies, or just for simply finding out what is the hottest movie in theater right now. And also, we noticed to make the environment or the platform quite successful, the key players, here we mean Baidu, Alibaba, Tencent, and Sina, they make their platform very, very practical, easy to use, linked a lot of different types of functions within their own environment, or the ecosystem as they normally call that. And then when you kind of started your click into the platform, for example, here I'm using the WeChat as an example, then basically you're not just instant messaging your friends, you're actually doing a lot of things within this platform. You're searching through their internal search engine. You're also making payments. You can also open even a small e-commerce store as a brand or as an individual. So based on this, we see, let me see, we're not moving. Okay, this is a result at the beginning of time when the local players trying to establish different types of platforms or communities. It's because of the lack of access to the outside of the world, because of the big firewall around us. But eventually, they're actually successfully achieved a lot more than that. So maybe when Sina started They just want to have something look like Yahoo or something, similar to Google. But when Tmall and Taobao, they started, they're just trying to survive, competing with the big players like Amazon. But eventually, they're achieving much more than that. An example would be the quite successful platform offered by Tencent, which we already knew as called WeChat. So here is an example about how many different types of functions you can achieve just simply by opening a public account, brand or government agencies or a media outlet. You can do gamifications, you can offer discounts, you can engage real time with your consumers or your members. You can also even provide barcode so that they can directly scan it and get product information or store locations. And you can also adding partner agencies or third parties into your account and then directly engaging with your readers more effectively and in a more interesting way. Here is an example about FMCG brand. So basically, they're using their own brand WeChat account to do a lot of things. So each of this is just an example about the different functions they're currently using. But these pages will keep changing depending on the key messages they try to push during a specific time, or a specific product that they recently launched, or the new campaign that they're currently jointly working with the media or the entertainment channels. So these are the types of complicated but also quite a practical way the brand can set up their WeChat public accounts. So you got multiple options or opportunities to engage with whoever wants to follow your brand, or whoever just the first trial kind of consumer just want to learn more about your product. So if we understand why social media platform is so successful, then we also need to consider from a size perspective. We all know, in China, everything is in millions, sometimes in billions. But if you're looking at the overall social media user base, this is already outdated, but it's surpassing hundreds of millions already. And that means, all of them are, either getting access to internet through their smartphone, which is pretty much 90% of them, and also they could combine that with their PC, with their tablets, and that helped them to do a lot of things at home, on the run, or anytime during the day. So if we're looking at how internet is being accessed, then in addition to mobile, we also see a quite strikingly fast speed for online accessible TV. So your TV is now directly linked with your internet, so that you can spark QR code and follow other accounts that are supporting the show, or you even just click through and then linked on the e-commerce outlet on your cell phone. So the multiple kind of screen always on situation, it's very true in China these days. And if we're looking at the impact of internet from a spending perspective as a media channel, then in China, actually TV is already becoming the secondary kind of mass media channel. And if you really want to get heard, increase your awareness of the brand or services or your key messages, you need to send it through the internet channels. And also government played a quite important role to try to encourage the internet and also the e-commerce kind of penetration down to the very rural areas. So if we're looking at the spending on social media, specifically, then we're looking at the leader as WeChat, but also QQ Zone as the close second follower. This is a quite interesting fact here, actually, in China, because these two platforms are both belong to Tencent. But when QQ was first launched many years ago as a kind of a strong community kind of platform, they're trying to do a lot of things for their users, and with the time pass, they're actually now only surviving as more a popular platform for the younger generation instead of quickly adopting to a adults-dominated platform, and that part is actually taken good care of by WeChat. And also, if you are considering, using your, advertising spendings or your budget to do social campaigns in China, you need to realize what are the, hot trends or the most, popular ways currently the Chinese consumers or the brands in China are doing social. So basically, we're seeing the strong impact of celebrities, or KOL, as we call it, key opinion leaders, and also the younger, less so famous kind of cyber stars. They are, your very important message ambassador on the social platform. So what kind of celebrities to work with or what kind of KOLs to leverage is quite challenging and sometimes can be tricky for brands or agencies. Even with, strong celebrity fan base or, attractive KOL personalities, if there is not a quite, good fit of your message or of your product with the person, then sometimes it ended up badly. We also see a upcoming popularity of the IP-based entertainment products. Here, IP-based means normally they are a very popular online novel that has already been published and loved by quite large reader base, and then later on there will be capitals or producers trying to make them into a TV drama or a film where they can bring in the extra influence of celebrities and the KOLs. And they also got another chance to put all different sorts of products in the show so that it can generate even more commercial influence or discussion of new products or new offerings. And from a e-commerce perspective, then the Alibaba and all the internal or competitive kind of platforms, they're also created a lot of e-commerce specific holidays like Double 11 or like the June 18th Jingdong big celebration. The reason is they want to, use the specific dates to kind of remind shoppers this is the day if you really want to get a good deal, or this is the day, you want to save for the year and you make the final transaction. And here are some, real case how brands are actively engaging with KOLs, with different types of platforms and different ways of content and formatting to effectively reach out to the, very eager to learn or eager to buy kind of consumer base, and then do a pretty, efficient work for their campaigns or product launch. So here, the celebrity that Kiehl's worked with is called Hero or Zhao Youting, with 12 million-ish kind of followers already as a big star. And then Kiehl's used his image as a healthy kind of younger generation male star, and to use live broadcasting for their store campaigns and launch event, and also him personally are recommending the brands and the push for the sales. So as a matter of fact, just within 24 hours, I don't think this is working. He helped the brand to generate over 1.5 million USD sales volume. just for engaging with his followers and pushing for sales and transactions on that specific day. So that is why I think, partially explained some of our speakers in the morning saying, in this market, people asking for results for ROI immediately. They want to see with all the dollar that I put on this platform or for this celebrity, how much conversion it can generate for me, in real sales volume. And also, we all know this celebrity, right? So Kobe, even after his retirement, he still have a very, very strong fan base, even in China. So what the NBA brand did together with Kobe is actually they launched a limited edition Kobe T-shirt, just to celebrate, him as a great player, and Kobe himself prepared this short video and placed it on the e-commerce platform Tmall, so people can click through it and see what Kobe has to say, about himself and about this specific item that he's trying to sell to his loyal fans. So here, it's only one day, 24 hours, and the generated total sales is also quite significant. Thinking of, you're only selling one T-shirt with Kobe's letter on it. And here is another kind of unique way how much brand is willing to go out of their way to kind of offering their brand or their products just to fit a unique, fan group for some of the very influential KOLs or experts in social. So Mr. Bags is actually someone built himself as a kind of expert figure in the fashion industry. So he continuously publishing WeChat articles talking about different brands of bags and the designs he likes or dislikes, or what is the new season's attractiveness, or the things he really don't understand. So his follower mostly are on WeChat, and also for each individual post that he published on his WeChat account, it can easily reach over 100,000 reader volume, which is quite high compared to the regular kind of readership if it's published by somebody very common. And eventually, luxury brands like Givenchy noticed that Mr. Bag is really holding a very strong favorite opinion of the brand even before they approached him. So he basically, as a person, really loves this brand. So eventually, the brand decided, maybe we can do something special since you love our brand so greatly. We can do something special for your own followers and your own fans. So this is what the brand did. They manufactured or produced only 80 bags. Solely available just for his fans, on the WeChat platform. And then when he posted this message, it sold out in 12 minutes and generated, such, a high, impressive kind of volume. And many people afterwards are actually chasing after him and saying, will there be a second edition, or will there be a new version launched by you, in the near future? So, this is a kind of engagement and the appeal of KOLs and linked strongly with e-commerce purposes in China, so that brands need to think about, this is not only content-based anymore. You can even develop it into something uniquely designed for your potential customers through the recommendation or the influence of certain KOLs. So we talk a lot about the good things that social media can do, all the power, it can support your sales, your marketing influences. But also we need to realize social can be a quite dangerous place for brands and agencies as well. Because remember, we talk about social as a quite important place to make yourself, make your message being heard, go viral like in no time. And also it is the key platform to get information. So we noticed whenever a brand or a company run into crisis in China, you need to react very, very fast. That doesn't mean, whenever there is something bad happen, you need to, say something, I did something wrong, I will fix this. But if you don't say anything, then you might end up, like brand A here. So if I'm putting the reactions of each individual brands during the same crisis, then you can see how dramatically different the consumer's reaction can be, because this is the real case that their FMCG brands are all being hurt by a product safety issue. They're all on the same boat. But for brands that reacted very quickly with a very caring tonality, and they say we really care about your concerns. We're doing all there is we can to help you solve these problems, and you can return all your purchases regardless with or without a receipt, used or unopened. Just we understand you and we'll take it back. But some other brands are just saying, okay, we have a response, we're quick, but they're just saying, don't worry, our brand is okay, our product is not contaminated, you can just keep using it. But like we said, the local consumers, they don't really trust that much what the government or the brands have to say, especially during a crisis. So they just feel like just saying your product is safe, it's not solving my problem. You need to really taking care of my concerns and take your products back. And the worst case would be like brand A. Basically, they're just sitting there and waiting for the legal approval from their global headquarters so that their PR message can be released in China, which is several days later. So what that means is, after they eventually say something like, okay, our product is safe, we really care about you, when all the other brands is already, fixing up the negative reactions among their consumers, these brands were singled out and got the hardest criticisms among this market, because consumers just feel like, really don't care about us as your, loyal users, and you don't even want to say anything when these crises break out. And even after you finally did say something, that's useless. So this brand is actually, till this day, still suffering from this crisis because people keep remembering and mentioning this, how badly they're treating their customers. Another issue, it's quite sensitive in China, is when you decide or when you try to pick the right celebrities or KOLs that you want to work with, you also need to understand what kind of political stance that may come back and hurt you. So this is the case for one of our beauty client, and this is the celebrity spokesperson that they sign up in the Hong Kong market, which they think has nothing to do with mainland. But when she appeared, on some tweets and some social media saying she's gonna appear on certain events, then the Chinese consumers noticed this and started strongly attacked this person as an entertainer, but also as the spokesperson for this international brand, which is quite famous in China. And they're not saying, okay, so this is for the Hong Kong market, so maybe the China market is not, thinking, taking the same political stance as the Hong Kong spokesperson. Instead, the Chinese consumers are thinking, as an international brand, since you hired her as your spokesperson, even just in Hong Kong, that still means you agree with her and you think she's representing your values, your beliefs as a brand, and we should boycott this brand as a loyal kind of Chinese. So that is, how when you deciding what kind of celebrities you want to use, even for an individual market, think about the potential influence, because now it's not all the markets are not independently existing. They're actually communicating with each other quite effectively and constantly. So later on, this controversy actually, moved from the local, like Chinese social environment onto like YouTube, Facebook, outside of the border, and it becomes quite a negative impact for this brand in China. So we're trying to make this very fast and summarizing, from the more like overview kind of way. So if we're thinking about what kind of content we need to generate or try to create so that it can perform well or be more efficient or effective on the social market in China to attract more attentions or to be remembered or to be recalled better than my competitors, then China is already in the video age. That means, just simply writing a PR release, it's nobody gonna read it, right? You better make it, if you can't make it with a sound or a picture, at least add some pictures with it. Because, people won't have the patience to just read through just simple text. And also you need to think about what kind of platform or what kind of social media or e-commerce outlet you want to put your content there. Because if you use the wrong platform, maybe you're not really reaching out to your target audiences. Or if you're trying to control a crisis for sometimes, then your message maybe cannot, effectively taken by the right audiences or the right consumer group. We also see here the video time is actually strongly supported by the technology innovations for short video apps. So now everyone, everyone here, as long as you have a Meipai or Miaopai, which is very popular short video apps, you can just shoot a 15-second, 30-second video and then edit it, making yourself look better and publish it on all different types of social media platforms. So that means everyone can be your brand or agency ambassadors in real life. It also means everyone can say whatever they want to say in good way or bad way about your brand without you even knowing about it unless it goes viral. Normally, when that happens, that already means it's too late. And from a kind of player perspective, we know KOLs, celebrities, cyber stars of different sorts. They're currently now living in a very complicated but also sophisticated ecosystem of their own. So as a KOL, they can actively interact through different types of social platform with their followers, and at the same time, they normally have a very strong pursuit of e-commerce goals or objectives. So they try to sell something. And we have a lot of KOL agencies try to create, maintain, or upgrade the image established by the KOL and make them even stronger or even more attractive. So if you started just as a single person shop, then there are numerous agencies that can help you to make more glamorous, more authentic, or sometimes even more controversial, depending on what kind of personality you want to set up yourself as. So that is, quite, a flourishing business already. And we use different types of ways to share contents because we already said video is very important. You try to make everything in move and with sound. So live streaming now, for a more challenging kind of way to share video, it's quite important to engage with your followers or just even simply try to sell your stuff on the Tmall store. And platforms like Tmall, like Sina, like Baidu, they're all adding the live streaming function into their platform recently, so that you can be a brand spokesperson trying to promote for a campaign, or you can be a famous KOL that carrying your own fashion line. So regardless of what you want to say or what you want to sell, you have numerous platforms, numerous ways to do that. So in conclusion, we think the social media overall kind of environment is quite unique, and it is unique because it's very important as a information channel, but also as a purchase channel and as an entertainment channel. And also, we understand, we acknowledge the quality of the content is crucial, it's very important. But you also need to consider as an agency or as a producer of the content, how you can effectively merge or integrate that content with the right platform that are attracting or engaging the right group of audiences. Otherwise, you can have this very funny video or very impressive kind of commercial, but ended up nowhere because nobody is retweeting it, nobody is sharing it with their friends. Also, Weibo and WeChat, they're not only a core platform, but they're also trying to include more and more apps into the whole system. They're trying to compete with the continuous challenge offered by all the other mobile-based communities or functions and products. So if you want to do a quite successful campaign or try to reach out the right target audiences with your right message, then you need to combine your content, your tactics, pick the right KOL, and then follow the hot topic immediately when it's circling or when it is quite popular online. So we have this number. We always say, whatever that is hot, you need to leverage on it within 8 hours. And the maximum is like 24 hours. And if it's passing 72 hours, that means you're already too late because people are already moving on after 3 days. They're chasing the next hot topic already. And if we're looking at social intelligence as like a measurement provider, insight provider, we always consider our insights is quite crucial for brands and for our clients to identify the next right KOL or evaluate their existing KOL list, and also how to better leverage the current hot topic or create their own hot topic for the next round. So I'm using this kind of summary to further emphasize why the social media in China is so powerful. It's not only because we have a lot of people eager to buy stuff through the e-commerce channels, but it's also because the engagement, the kind of interaction between KOLs, between brands and the audiences and the shoppers are very active and very interesting and practical. And also we need to consider the strong payment system that's already set up in China, maybe even though it's not quite available globally, but we know players like Alibaba, like Tencent, they're already expanding the Chinese-based payment system across the border, right? So you can use your WeChat account or your Alipay account easily to shop in the US, in the APAC countries. So that never will be a problem for eager Chinese shoppers who are not shy to buy expensive items wherever they want or see it. So questions? Yes?
Is it worth brands building a profile on the Chinese social media platforms, or is it better to focus on relationships with KOLs?
Depending on your industry and how strong your brand image is already built, we see quite strong like luxury brands, for example, or government agencies. Everybody know about them, right? You don't need to say I'm from this brand. But then how do you kind of continuously updating your image or your message so that your this time you're using the right KOL, or the next time you're generating the right content, and the third time you're taking advantage of the right hot topic. That is actually more challenging for brands. Yes.
I'm just curious, how independent are KOLs?
What do you mean by independent?
Well, or are they basically businesses? Can they be bought at the right price?
Yes, they all can be bought. Yes, for a reasonable price, and also for a reasonable kind of request. Many of the strong KOLs these days in China, they have a strong influence of the way they want to communicate with their followers. So the new trend is, instead of brands sending them content for them to publish, they rather say, okay, I get the idea. You want to push this idea, or you want to push this product. Okay, so this is how I am going to prepare the content, instead of controlled by the brand. Yeah. Yes.
Hi, Linda. Fantastic presentation. Thank you very much. Just a quick point. I'm very conscious of time, so the next session's starting, I think, round about now. But I do have a quick question, because I think a lot of our members here are international companies that might not have an office in China. And I've heard confusing advice about Chinese content and about whether it's allowed to be sold and used outside of the Chinese market, or whether it has to stay within an organization in China. And are you able to put us clear on that point in a nutshell? And I think unless there's a burning extra question, that perhaps would be the last question as well.
Well, content-wise, I think the control is less strict, because it is something you created yourself. But that content, if linked with a government field, sensitive information, or reactions like engagement kind of reactions from real people with considered sensitive or privacy information, it'll be very hard to make the data cross the border.
Yeah, so I'm thinking things like, data from GNIP for Twitter and stuff. Is it possible for our members to buy Chinese data and to take it out of the Chinese market?
No.
It has to stay within the Chinese business?
Yes. The data needs to be stored inside of China.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe from an aggregated level, but definitely not the raw data.
Okay, well, on behalf of AMEC, I'd say thank you very much.
Thank you.
Really great presentation.